All right, in today's video, we're going to talk about blockchain and the enormous amount of opportunities available because of the blockchain domain. Blockchain, there's a lot of opportunity available, right, in finance, supply chain management, and other use cases. Essentially, blockchain is just a record of transactions maintained on a P2P, peer to peer network transacted via cryptocurrency or tokens, right, both fungible and non fungible tokens. And the use cases are specifically in finances, right? So take one practical application: cross-border payments. Before, cross-border payments used to happen with banks, but they use a very complicated system such as Swift. It takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of transaction fees that occur. But with a blockchain protocol called XRP, which has been established recently, and was actually facing some lawsuit, but everything is good now to be put into operation, where you could transact international payments or cross-border payments fast. So like transaction one currency from one country to another currency, it can be done very fast with no number of transactions. It can happen within a couple of seconds or even nanoseconds. Before, it used to take, like a good 30, 60 seconds or even more, sometimes even more to get it verified. But because blockchains, they use smart contracts, there's a lot of security and transparency, and the transactions happen very quickly, right? That's why you clear the settlement times. There's also something called real world asset tokenization, where if you have a property, that property can be evaluated with cryptocurrency, right? And essentially, it's a decentralized finance where banks are not involved, right? So you don't have like a centralized architecture; it's a decentralized architecture, right? It's transparent and provides immutability and security, all because of the decentralized finance architecture. Another important use case is supply chain management. With supply chain management, there's a lot of product counterfeits, fake products in the market for both goods and services, and it's kind of hard to distinguish which are real and which are fake. But with supply chain relying on the blockchain, goods and services can be tracked. You can have real time asset tracking. You can have information on who is also tracking the asset, right? On a distributed ledger, it's transparent. Anyone can see who is tracking it, where it's going, right? The authenticity of it, from sourcing to manufacturing to building, from loading on the trucks, from warehouse to warehouse to the business. Then when a business sells it to a customer, and when a customer again sells it to another customer, there's tracking of that information available, right? So you can see it on a distributed ledger. Other use cases are in healthcare, government program resources, right? So even with healthcare and government program resources, there are systems set up where you have sensitive data that needs to be shared, such as health records, right? And this information is usually manipulated or sold, right? This data, but this data can be tracked, and tracked in essence, you can see where the data has been sourced, from whom it's been sourced to, from where it came from, right? So all of that can be tracked. There's a lot of security and transparency in that too. Same thing with media, arts, and games. You have digital assets. Digital assets can be, let's say you're playing Call of Duty. You want an outfit or you want a set of weapons for your team, or just as you as a player, right? You have rights of ownership for that. Even with media, let's say you have music or you have clips, right? And you have some copyright issues, and you want to know where it's being used. You have trackability for that, right? The applications are enormous. Now, these are just some of the applications that I have presented here, but there are a lot more applications, right? And because of the enormous amount of use cases and applications, there's different types of jobs that'll be available for each sector, each domain, each use case, right? First and foremost, jobs that will be available as a smart contract engineer. Now, with this smart contract engineer, what's essentially happening is they're writing the contracts in code. So when a sale or a service or good is being transacted, the amount of money, the data relevant to that transaction, the time, the location, what the service was, all of that will be recorded in real time, right? And it'll be added to a blockchain. Blockchain is meaning a distributed ledger, a chain of record, right? Another important avenue that for jobs is legal consultation, right? Because AI is coming in between. Typically, when if you're getting in trouble with the law, or you get a traffic ticket, or you're involved in a legal case, you need to go consult a lawyer and pay the lawyer hundreds of dollars. But with AI, it's essentially free. You get free consultation, and those types of jobs are being laid off. So at the same time those jobs are laid off, there's still the domain of blockchain, where it's still a vague domain, right? The rules and regulations are still being established. So legal consultation for blockchain use cases are rising. There's a lot of job opportunities here. Again, as a blockchain developer, essentially like a tech IT role, software engineer role. There's back end, full end, full stack developer, and then there's people that also smart contract engineer will cover this domain too, right? These have an enormous amount of jobs too. There's a lot of tech layoffs happening, especially redundant jobs. And people who have tech jobs, they can pick up these blockchain skills and eventually possibly land a job in this domain, right? Because different industries and sectors are having a huge demand for this, right? This goes for schools, municipal infrastructure, government, even government layoff people. They can learn these technologies and secure a job. There's so many domains available: healthcare, manufacturing, everything. Marketing roles. As you're using blockchain, uh, different types of blockchain business models, they need to market their services. So there's room for that, even for blockchain analysts, right? And there's technical writers that need to write the documentation and code for these different blockchain applications. There's huge opportunity in that area as well. And lastly, education. The traditional education systems are not providing satisfactory skill sets for prospective employees, so or even students, right? And there's a huge number of job roles opening up in this field as well. So if you want to be a developer or any tech related role, such as more contract engineer or a back end full stack, or just a coder in general in the blockchain domain, these are the minimum skill sets that will be required. JavaScript would be one, right? This is a foundational language. It's relatively easy, right? It's a scripting language, right? React, Next for user interface, Node and Express go hand in hand for backend, SQL and SQL for data, accessibility and interchange, and then Ethers.js and Web3.js to integrate. It has functionalities and modules to easily integrate the Ethereum into the Ethereum network. Lastly, JSON, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation, is just a way for data is transmitted between the client and the server and the web application. The next item is Solidity, which is essentially just a programming language for writing smart contracts, right? And I'm suggesting that people learn the Ethereum network, right, because it has a wide application. Many businesses and entities use the Ethereum blockchain, and it has a lot of like tech support, right? And there's a lot of jobs in the domain. There are other various blockchain networks people can learn, but it would be highly advisable to start with Solidity, right? And another Remix, Hard Hat, and Foundry. These are like development and testing IDEs where you can test your decentralized financial applications, right? Including Truffle and EVM is the Ethereum virtual machine. So when you have your code and you want to run this code, remember this code has to be decentralized, right? It has to run anywhere. It's not just run as a centralized architecture. Because of the decentralized architecture, this EVM virtual machine will translate the code in something called bytecode. This bytecode allows the code to run on a whole host of different machine architectures, different processing architectures. It could be a laptop, a computer, a phone, a smartwatch. It could be FPGA or ASIC. So this allows openness to allow the code to run anywhere, right? These are the minimum skill sets that people should learn, and they'll be able to secure a role. Now, let's talk about real world asset tokenization. As I said before, real world asset tokenization is just taking some infrastructure or some physical asset and tokenizing the physical asset, right? And a lot of countries have established rules and regulations for this, right? The United Arab Emirates, United States, India, Singapore, China, Canada, Australia, Japan. These are just some of the countries, but there's a whole host of other countries. And with real world asset tokenization, what happens is you can fractionalize the value of the asset. So let's say you take a loan, right? And you want to take the loan, you're a real estate company, you take the loan and you want to build an apartment complex. With that apartment complex, you can uh, build your infrastructure, right? But when you pay back the loan, the profits are distributed among the token owners, right? So this allows, as you can see, this allows easy integration, and the owners can be from anywhere in the world, right? This is breaking geopolitical borders, right? So the application use case for this is enormous. This is happening all over the world as we speak today, right? And there's a lot of jobs available to maintain this infrastructure and make this service possible, right? Let me just show you a clip from this to
Tokenization
explain
involves converting the rights to an asset, whether it be bonds or real estate, into a digital token on a blockchain network. It enhances liquidity, turning previously illiquid assets like buildings or artwork into easily traded tokens. Traditionally, bonds have been the domain of large.
right? A Lofty is one platform. It allows you to buy and sell real estate as effortlessly as trading a share of TSLA. There's a lot of different platforms like Lofty, right, where you can invest an X amount of money, right, and you can get return income with monthly rental income, right, depending on how much you invested. All right, and this guy clearly
Use case
demonstrates.
with that one.
So Lofty AI is actually probably one of the biggest one. Lofty AI is a real estate platform where they're decentralized properties, so you can buy tokens in the property. So rather than buying the whole
Oh,
property,
really?
tokens are divided like $50 a token, so you can spread your risk and get into a bunch of different properties. But the cool part is the rent is paid
Okay.
daily in blockchain. There's no like it's all smart contracts, right? So it's not like I didn't get.
So the use cases are expanding everywhere. Real world asset tokenization. This has just really kicked off this year, right? Dubai has something over $300 million of their estates just owned on these real world asset tokenization platforms. All right. NFTs are another type of entity that allows you to have ownership and governance over non-fungible entities. All right, non-fungible meaning that something that where one token is not the same value as the other token. Each token has their own unique value. It's not like cryptocurrency, right? Where each token has the same value as every other token, but those are fungible tokens. These are non-fungible tokens, right? And the applications for these are in healthcare, supply chain logistics, legal government information database, gaming, music, art. So you're dealing with digital assets, right? You want to track the digital assets. So like supply chain logistics, the manifest, the tracking sheets of your goods and services. Healthcare, you have patient data, that's sensitive data. Same thing with legal, sensitive data. That data is digitized. You can track it, who sees it, who uploaded it, who filed it, who viewed it. There's a whole tracking, who made changes or who was allowed to make changes, right? It's very secure, very transparent, and there's almost no chance of manipulation, right? So again, if you need a job, look into the blockchain domain and don't forget to like and subscribe to reveal money making content now. Thank you.